Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes per detail.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the Vehicle Owner's Manual for important feature limitations and information.
So attention cricket clubs and cricketing family, are you ready to step up to the crease and make a long-lasting impact on your club's legacy? Listen up, we've got something special for you. Introducing Fund It Now, the revolutionary fundraising platform that's changing the game for cricket clubs everywhere. With Fund It Now, clubs of all sizes can create a lasting legacy by selling personalised plaques to their passionate members, supporters and cricket club family.
That's right, Livo. Fund It Now has already left its mark on some of cricket's most iconic venues like Lords, the home of cricket, Somerset County Cricket Club, and with projects such as the Father Time Wall and Somerset Legends Wall.
There's the best part, Hugh. There are absolutely no upfront costs. Fundraising has never been more simple or accessible.
Imagine walking around your club's ground or up to the pavilion and seeing a bespoke wall of dedication, celebrating the history of your club and supporting its future with every plaque. It's like your club's very own shrine to the sport we all love.
And getting involved couldn't be easier. Simply visit Fund It Now's website at funditnow.co.uk to get started today, or drop them an email at info@funditnow.co.uk to learn more. It's time to rally your supporters and start raising money like never before. And don't forget to tell them you heard it from us at the Premier League Cricket Show.
So what are you waiting for? Join the ranks of clubs and grounds like Somerset County Cricket Club and Lords and make your mark on cricket history.
Visit Fund It Now today and start building your fundraising platform. That's funditnow.co.uk. Fund It Now, where passion meets purpose at your cricket club, and begin creating your own legacy. So welcome everybody to another match week review of the Premier Leagues and what's going on up and down the country. As always, joined by statistician who's got a bit of a headache, I think, this week, haven't you, Hugh?
Headache? Well, I've always got a headache, but yeah, no, we're all good. We're all good.
Yeah, I think one or two of you will be listening. Will be asking the question, what's been going on play cricket at the weekend? And we're going to give you a very simple answer. No idea. I had people texting me all over the weekend saying, have you seen this? Where's this result gone? And why can't we see this scoreboard? It's not down to us, guys. We don't run play cricket. We just analyse it and try and see what we can get from it. But we've done our best, as always. And I think we think we've got our stats right anyway, don't we, Hugh?
Just about. It's hard to check. So there are quite a few games a lot of games where can't access scorecards and other bits and pieces, whole innings disappearing from tournament records and so forth. But I think we have the data, so we should be okay. But caveat here, if we've cocked something up, it ain't my fault. It probably is, but that's fine.
That's a good caveat. Guesting with us this week, joining us is, I'm quite pleased to say this because he did say a few months ago what he was going to do. It's a captain who's top of the league, and you couldn't be anywhere else to feel any more comfortable as you go into June, I don't think, almost. Now, James Cole from Northern in the Liverpool District Cup. How are you doing, James?
Yeah, very well, guys.
And captain of a top-of-the-league club in a Premier League, and you had a tough run last year. Must feel good right now.
Yeah, to be honest with you, obviously, with the rain early season and obviously pre-season, it feels like sort of your pre-season friendlies have been your sort of first few weeks of a season. So, yeah, it still feels like everyone's sort of finding their feet still, and I think there's still a lot more to come from quite a few teams, really. Anyone
in particular you're looking at thinking they haven't quite sort of hit the mark yet in the comp?
Funnily enough, I don't think we have really. I think it's been 5 games. I think we've won 4. The game we lost, I thought we got probably competitive total at Wigan and then didn't bowl very well. And then sort of throughout the sort of games that we've won as well, we've sort of played well in patches. And obviously when you've got so many good cricketers, that probably helps you in a lot of those games. But yeah, it still feels like we've got sort of a lot more cricket to be played. And obviously we've had a couple of disappointing results on a Sunday. So it probably means that moving forward, we've got no sort of leeway to slip up on a Saturday, really. So yeah, it's obviously exciting being top of the league. And I think June's going to be a really important month. I think we've got to go to play Wallasey, obviously who won the league a few years ago. Then we've got to go to the league. Rainford, who won the Cup last year. And then we go to Ormskirk sort of back end of June. So probably got 4 weeks of sort of tough cricket. And if you're winning 3 or 4 of those games, you're probably really ahead of the 8 ball.
Yeah, it's a tough old month without a shadow of doubt. And I think we'll come back to what's going on in the Liverpool comp shortly. But let's have a quick crack around the leagues and start at the west of England. I'm going to interestingly say that for the first time ever in an episode of the Premier League Cricket Show, we weren't the first to mention the weather, Hugh. It was James. Now, the west of England Premier League, please tell me they got every fixture played last weekend.
Yeah, I think we had a full complement in the West of England Premier League. Some decent scores, but I think across the country this week, again, I'm going to mention the weather, weather caveat, weather alert. One's hard to come by, wickets, a bit easy to come by. But there's one big performance for Bedminster against Taunton St Andrews. Bedminster 303, Taunton St Andrews 227 with Max Trifonos. If that's pronounced right, what do you reckon? Is that the right pronunciation?
I reckon that's good enough.
Trifonos, yeah. He's actually an old Cricket lad.
Old Cricket lad. Yeah. There we go. Max Trifonos, 142 and 5 wickets. A terrific performance from him. Cricket lad, is he?
Well, I think he must be about 21, 22 now, but I think when he was 18, fresh out of school, we sent him for 6 months in Melbourne. So yeah, blast from the past, really, that name. Yeah,
well, that's a terrific performance. There won't be many better in the whole of the country this season. No. So a real match-winning performance from him in that match.
Which, to be fair, Bedminster need because they are second from bottom in the league and are struggling a little bit. But at the top of the league, last year's champions, Bath won the league last year and again won at the weekend, beating Potter and one of the, I'd call them one of the bigger rivals, I think.
Yeah, it's a close game. That runs and wickets liberally spread around in that game. Nobody passing 50. 4 wickets for Aidan Cahill. Bath, 3 wickets for Potton. Morland Simon and Basil Akram with 37, top scoring for them. Charlie Brain, 42 from 73 for Bath. So yeah, it's looked like a close match that.
It's not often you see a match with almost 400 runs between two sides and not one player hitting 50.
Yeah, I think it's just the state of the weather of the pitches, isn't it? It's tough going across the board. But yeah, really, really close game. Bath 196 all out, Potton 182 all out off 44. So it was going to be close, that one.
Definitely. And the other team who come up from last year into the Whipple, Burbage and Eastern Royal are in second place in the league. That started the season off really well. They had a good win over at Froster at the weekend. Burbage with, again, not a lot of runs there, 155 runs. Dylan Perris with 46 and Crofton Keys with 19. But to bowl out Froster for 91, you're in a good place there and you come into the Premier League and in second place already.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we've got Froster, decent performance from Bikram Kumar Das, 40, and then not a lot else. And then Dylan Perris for Burbage, 46 and 57, and wickets as well from him. So we've got Peter Trigo popping up on the Burbage score sheet there. So 3 for 25 for him. So nice to see a familiar name.
Definitely was that. Hey, let's get into the Cheshire League, shall we? Bit more local to Mr. Cole. He might recognise 1 or 2 more names from here. I'm going to point out, he won't like us for this, I've got to point out the one result that stood out for me at the weekend, which was Timperley, who came up from the lower division last year, gave Grappenhall a bit of a spanking, and our friend Ben wouldn't be very happy with that, would he?
Well, it's good to see Tom McCurry, 5 for 41, the massively tall New Zealand offie. He's still getting wickets, didn't get runs. But no. Yeah, I mean, these kind of results happen everywhere, don't they? We won't talk about my club, but we've seen some very low scores this weekend. So yeah, it's a bad day at the office for them, but Timperley, terrific performance. And again,
it was.
Nobody's really getting many runs, but everybody's chipped in.
And if you look at the videos online, you'll see when Tom McCurry got out following the Master Blaster exhibition he put on the weekend before, the Timperley celebration tells you what they thought of getting him out very quickly. They were very happy to get rid of him very early doors. He did take 5 wickets, as you say, but top of the Cheshire League, Nantwich. Nantwich played Bowden at the weekend. Bowden, who'd come up from lower division. Nantwich are just cruising along there at the top, aren't they?
Yeah, solid. It's just that depth, isn't it? If you've got depth in your batting, depth in your bowling, you're going to be solid all round. I think when you're relying on, individuals to perform, and if they fail, then that's when you lose games. If you've got the depth, then that's all that matters.
I think the biggest surprise at the moment in that league is at the other end now. So Alderley Edge won the league last year and are bottom. I'm not quite sure what's gone wrong there for Alderley Edge to have won the league and to be bottom of the Cheshire League right now. Are you?
Archie Vaughan moving to Millfield. That's it. That's what it's all about. It's all about Archie Vaughan.
That's it. They've lost Archie. I forgot about who got his contract yesterday. So, I mean, they lost a player who's got a now professional contract, and look what's happened. They're bottom of the league.
That's it, yeah. I think possibly not just that. I suspect he didn't play a huge amount if he'd cleared off to Millfield. But it's certainly it changes the balance, changing dressing room. Yeah. How does that go, James? When you get a few guys go out in a season, a few guys come in, how do you cope with that sort of shift, particularly if they're strong players?
It's obviously quite very difficult. I think the majority of clubs, you very rarely are sort of replacing more than one or two sort of cricketers. But obviously, if you're taking a core out of your side, obviously I'm not convinced he played more than 5 games of cricket from last year, probably if that. But I think you found if you do your research on the Liverpool comp, I don't think anyone's defended the league for over 10 years. So obviously I do think it takes a lot out of you. And you see in cups as well, when you've had a big season competing on all fronts, some teams are a bit slower to start the next year. So, yeah, I've not really seen if Alderley Edge have lost too many players or not. But, yeah, no, they're normally a strong side. But looking at Nantwich, I think they're quite an experienced side. They brought back Jimmy Warrington, is it? Been one of the best seamers around for a number of years, and he's not even opened the bowling. So I think they've got a good core of sort of experienced cricketers. So yeah, just looking at the scorecards most weeks, you think they're going to be the team to beat in that league, I'd have thought.
Well, it was statistically last year the closest league in the entire country, the Cheshire League. And I'm pretty darn sure, looking at the way the league started so far this year, it's probably going to end up pretty much the same. Okay, the new point system's changing things quite a lot. And every captain's got an algorithm in the back pocket as they try to go out onto the field to play. But it's such a close league, and it'd be interesting to watch it develop over the coming months, without a shadow. Should we jump into another league that's pretty much around? We're surrounded James Colwood leagues right now before we get to Liverpool. Okay, so let's jump into the Lancashire League. We're running away at the top at the moment by 1 point. What am I saying, running away? Burnley, last year's winners, at the top. And just, heads up, we will have someone on from Burnley in a few weeks' time. I've been having a chat with their skipper over the last couple of days, and hopefully we'll get someone on shortly. Down towards the bottom, you've got Middleton and Church and Oswald Twistle, who've come through up from below. They're in second from bottom and fourth from bottom. So it's pretty much same as in the Lancashire League, with Burnley at the top and all the others battling behind them at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a tough weekend. I've got abandoned. Darwin won by 72, abandoned. Rochdale won by 13. So not a huge amount happening for Old Lancs League.
And ironically, we talk about it all the time. The difference of having a game played and finished, like Darwin, jumps them into second place, 1 point behind Burnley, whereas everyone else just ends up with their 5 points because their game was abandoned.
Yeah. It seems to me, James, that the Lancs League, which is not far from you, I mean, obviously you've got guys in Lancashire in your league, in the Lancs League area in your league, they seem to get a lot more abandonments than you do on the East Coast there.
Yeah, obviously I think the Lancashire League is in a bit of a trough, isn't it, in the sort of valley. We're quite lucky. I think most of our stuff's clay-based. So we can take a lot of rain and get away with it, really. But I think, obviously, with the water table the way it's been over the Lancashire League way, it's as soon as you get some weather now, you're probably struggling to fulfil fixtures as much. But you see on social media, don't you, I think even this morning, some of the pictures of the grounds, some of them are underwater. After a bit of rain now, some of them are completely underwater. So any more rain, the weekend fixtures are in doubt.
Yeah, I think the forecast's looking pretty good, so hopefully it'll be a happier thing. Batting has not been easy across the country. Jumping back into Liverpool comp, someone like Tyler, who's a bit of a yardstick for runs across the country every season, he's not got off to the usual fly that he has, but actually I think he's third in the league. How have you found scoring? To be honest with you,
Northern's pretty flat on the worst of times, so obviously Tyler's had a full ACL recon on his knee, and he's nowhere near 100% fit at the moment. So I think that's partly to do with it. I don't think it's necessarily down to the wickets in our league, but he batted really well on Saturday on a tricky-ish wicket at Rainhill. So he looked a lot more back to his sort of old self, but I think he's probably 4 to 8 weeks away from being anywhere near sort of match fit probably, but he's sort of...
When did he have that done?
I think 2 weeks after the season. So I think with those sort of things, you've got like a 9-month/12 sort of turnaround. So yeah, it's amazed that he's actually on the pitch probably, but he still scored probably three or four 50s in all sort of cricket, and you can obviously tell he's a quality cricketer. But yeah, as the weather gets a bit better and he gets a bit more fitter, then I'd expect him to start scoring heavily again.
Yeah, I mean, I think top scorer in Liverpool comp, Ollie Sutton with 205 runs, Chris Laker 192, then Tyler at 140, and then the rest follow. You know, it's not been easy. Obviously, there's quite a lot of cricket hasn't happened, but also the strike rates are noticeably down compared to even this time last year. I think even though it was a difficult start last year as well, that seems to me that batting is more difficult this year than in previous years or previous recent years.
Yeah, I think the scores at the weekend, I think Ray and Hill, who we knocked off, I think it was 130, whereas I think that was the highest score batting first, which is very unusual.
Yeah, it was. One player who's not had any trouble, James, getting going again is Thomas Sefton with 6 for 26 at the weekend. He just goes on and on and on. And he's
still only 32, but yeah, we sort of had them on the racks at 30 for 4, I think it was. And on another day, we probably should have bowled them out for 60 or 70, and they sort of got a bit of a partnership together. And Tom just came on and sort of controlled an end, and he doesn't really bowl many bad balls and makes a batsman play a lot of the time. And obviously you can't put a price on sort of experience, really. A lot of these games, if the scoring is quite slow, you know that no one's sort of getting away from you. He just keeps on plugging away. And obviously when he's got the Liam Grays, the Alex Vincents, the Dan Wilsons and people like to bowl with, they're not sort of going at 4, 5, 6 and over in general. So you're only a couple of overs away from putting 2 or 3 wickets together, and then all of a sudden your 100 for 4 is 100, 130 all out.
Very low scoring weekend, and we'll come back to that a bit later.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Oh, such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com's primetime kickoff event. Save up to 50% off select styles, plus doorbusters. Rules and restrictions may apply.
So now it's time for us to jump into our Cricket performance of the week again. And join us, as always, Mr. Matt Taft from Cricket. How you doing, mate?
Very well. Yourself, Ian?
I'm very well. I'm just wondering whether I should point out the obvious from the weekend or not.
Yeah, I don't particularly want to talk about it. I think you jinxed us when you left me last week on the podcast. So, yeah, it was a disaster, to be honest. It wasn't a good day at all, but...
Hey, joking apart, there's a lot of those slow left armers get a lot of people. I'm sure you've been done by one, Mr. James Cole, at some point, haven't you?
Yeah, quite a few. Quite a few.
Hey, listen, let's have a look at the Cricket stable, and the boys have started to get into some runs, 1 or 2 of them, haven't they?
Yeah, they really have. So it's been another week of some big scores across the board from our players, but leading the pile is Manisanka Murasingh. He's blasted 185 not out off 132 balls for Philadelphia. That included 1960s, so it's just ridiculous. So he's had a day out for Philadelphia there. It was a team total of 252.
19 sixes?
19 sixes, 185 not out.
He's actually, there's quite a lot of dot balls in that then, isn't there, if he's at 19 sixes? You know, he's taking it easy and then just gone over the rope.
Yeah, exactly. Not much rotation of the strike, but I think I'd take it. But yeah, so he leads the pile of our players this week. So and then moving on, we're down to Paul Wankhede. He's gone 128 for Dulwich, the former IPL Mumbai Indians and Kolkata Knight Riders player. So again, a serious score from him. Thelina Dilshan, he's gone 122 not out for Warrington. Again, all these are far more than a run of ball, so they've enjoyed themselves this weekend. And then finally, we've had Bangladeshi Ruman Ahmed. He's got 115 for Folkestone against Sidcup, and that wraps up our players of the week for the batters.
Well, I think we're going to struggle to beat that 185 there, Hugh, aren't we?
No.
But what have you got around the rest of the country there?
So it's like potentially not every single match has come in, but I'm reasonably happy we've got most of them. But we've got Jamal Richards at the top for Witham in the East Anglian Prem. Quite a few games suffered in the East Anglian Prem this weekend, but Witham against Safford Walden, 149 for Jamal Richards off 166 balls. And then Max Trifonos, second mention already, 142 off 133 in the Weppel. Bedminster, he got wickets as well, so we'll come back to him and shortly. Ollie Cox, Ombersley, 142 knots against West Bromwich and Dartmouth in the Birmingham Comp. And Mark Lazar, it's a cracking name, that, isn't it? It could be a super villain. Mark Lazar, some kind of super villain. Lazar, 130 not outs of 125 balls for Bishopston in the Weppel. So four Lansdowne against Bishopston in the Weppel. And then top five is Ryan Hackney, 127 for Sutton against Weybridge in the Surrey Championship.
Some good scores around there, but I've got to go back to Mani Sankamarasinga in that 185 off 132. I've just done a very quick calculation. He scored 154 in boundaries. He then scored 31 off another 102 balls. James Cole, as a skipper, watching someone do that, what are you saying to him if you're at the other end? Just carry on, or we rotate it a little bit more, mate?
Yeah, you're probably letting him carry on, aren't you? I'd have thought. Questioning too much, but yeah, it does seem a bit odd how many sort of dot balls there are. We bring into question the size of the ground, or maybe it's a wet, boggy-ish outfield. There's not much running to be done, so yeah, you probably.
I wonder if it's got anything to do with a certain Paul Collingwood playing for Shotley Bridge.
Yeah, it might well be, but yeah, you don't turn your nose up at any 100, do you? But at that strike rate as well, it's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. And just to top it off, Manny did take 3 for 29 when he was bowling as well. It's just got to be a performance of a weekend, big time. So what about your bowlers in that stable, Matt? How have you got on, mate?
Yeah, so we've had Richmond's Afghanistan leg spinner, Jappy Kola Ghaffari. He's taken 6 for 4, and it only took him 4 overs to get them 6 wickets. So he spun Richmond to victory there against Darlington. So he's well on track to try and pip his 100 wickets he took for them in 2022. So serious spell of bowling from him. Matthew Santillini, he's gone 6 for 46 for Driffield Town against Easingwold. And again, Ian, he's a left arm spinner, so you can enjoy that one.
Yeah, I think we'll have a special net one day.
So Ziol Pawani, he's had again Sunday at the office for Roe Park and Lawton. He's gone 70 and then 5 for 8 again, and that only took him 5 overs to get them wickets as well. So he's had a good day at the park. And then my former professional from last year, Avinash Dav, he's taken 5 for 32 for Wigan as they beat Newton the Willows. So serious spell from Avi there.
So not only some top figures around there, some of your Premier League players are starting to get the creams rising to the top, isn't it now? We're going to get into June and July. The big names that are over here are going to start to tick over. I saw Jake Weatherald in some runs there for Great Witchingham over the last week or so. Just as the weather comes better, we know that class is permanent, isn't it? Full stop, guys.
Yeah, it really is.
Definitely. Who you got there, Hugh, bowling wise?
Again, caveat possible issues with play cricket, but we've got quite a few 4 7-fers come in. Kazim Naziri, Totteridge Mill Hillians against Harpenden in the Hearts League, 7 for 32. Danish Aziz, 7 for 33 for Cawthorne in the Yorkshire Southern Premier League against Whitley Hall. Sarby's Ryan Dawson, 7 for 38 against Cropston in the Leicestershire and Rutland League. Sean Wilkes, 752 for Kislingbury at Temperance versus Wollaston in the Northants League. And Shafika Ghaffari, there's his 4 overs, 6 for 4. Darlington, the North Yorkshire, South Durham. So there you go. That's the top 5.
So some great runs around the country there, and some bowling performances start to pick up around the country. We're going to put some names out on our Twitter poll once again later today. I have a feeling Shafika Ghaffari might be on there with 6 for 4 from the Cricket stable. And we'll find out who's got the ECB Performance of the Week with Cricket. Thanks for joining us again, once again, Matt.
No problem at all. Thanks for having
when
us.
we get that slow left arm net sorted, I think we should record on net. I think we should do that, Hugh. What do you reckon? Should we get just a net? And
don't want to watch me back.
All the slow left armers around the Liverpool comp in one place at one time. How do you fancy that, you two?
I like it as a wicket keeper. Loving it as a keeper. I'm quite happy keeping to that. I love a bit of...
There you go. James Cole and Hugh Newsome wicket keeping.
Well, I think James may take...
and the rest can bat.
James may take preference over me. But
that's slip, it's all right.
Yeah, I back myself there. Yeah.
You back yourself there. What's your strike rate normally against slow left arm then, Matt?
Oh, you're asking a question. Unsure.
That's the number one word in play cricket this weekend. Unsure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
No worries. Thank you.
Let's have a look. Get back into the leagues then, Hugh, and we'll have a look down in the south east and look down at Kent, where Lordswood, who won last year, are again top of the league. What's been cracking off down there, mate?
Yeah, Kent League. All games completed on the weekend in the Kent League, which is nice. We've got a good score. Aidan Griggs, 59 in the Bexley versus Canterbury, what looked like a very, very close game. Bexley got home. I think that's it. 50 overs still. We're not gone to time in Kent. I get my formats muddled, but we've got Bexley 179 with, they beat Canterbury with 2 overs to spare, 2 and a bit overs to spare. And scorecards not coming up on Play Cricket, but we've got Aidan Griggs 59, Callum Bassey 39, and then wickets liberally spread around there. Canterbury, Anthony Mosca 64 off 93 in the return. Not a huge amount else in the batting there for them, but yeah, it was a close finish there. Blackheath beat Hayes fairly comfortably with George Wells 57, Scott Gallagher replying 47 for Hayes. Then Sandwich Town, they beat Minster. They were away at Minster. Solid performance from Ryan Davies, 61 off 85. And then Alex Smith, 3 for 20. Rory Smith, 3 for 28. Assuming they're brothers. I don't know them personally, but let's go with the brother combination. Quality performance then. Lordswood beat St Lawrence and High Court, 248 plays 252. So that was one of the highest scoring games of the week. Close finish there with, just clinging on. Lordswood just clinging on, I think, with both St Lawrence 9 down, obviously didn't quite get over the line. And then Bickley Park beat Tunbridge Wells. Again, another close game, 179 plays 176. So there's been some good games in the Kent League.
So there's some runs down there then, and obviously the weather making all the difference and getting some sun on that pitch has got some batters getting some runs at last.
Yeah, some decent performance. Nobody really put up the big scores. Max Wood 70 for Lordswood, just running down. I think that was probably the top scorer in the weekend. Oliver Curtis, 69 off 116 for St Lawrence and High Court. Yeah, so that was probably the game with the 2 highest scorers in the league. But yeah, wickets, Matt Barker, 4 for 16 for Tunbridge Wells, Ranjit Singh, 4 for 26. So it was nobody really putting up the single match winning scores on their own, but all-round team performances.
Definitely. Hey, James, you mentioned earlier that Northern is pretty flat, to say the least, generally. But how far away with all this weather, and we keep going back to it, do you think you are to what you'd call your perfect Northern track now? Because the scores are still so low.
Yeah, it's probably obviously the weather brings a bit more pace in it. When Northern's a bit quicker, for example, it seems a lot easier to score a bit quicker. But in general, I think we've only played 2 home games, and they were the first 2 that we played. So we've been away for the last 3 weeks. But I know the second team played on a really flat wicket, actually against Matt's second team, I think. But yeah, hopefully with a bit of weather, you're probably 2 or 3 weeks away from having a really, really flat wicket. And I think this year as well, we've not got the Lancashire second team fixture was cancelled at the start of the year due to the weather. So they normally prepare a couple of wickets for that. So we'll probably have more access to more wickets on the square, which probably again should increase the standard of the deck. So yeah, be a nice summer to be a batsman, hopefully, if the sun comes out.
Well, it depends on which paper you read. We've got 50 days of rain coming, or the best summer in the history of the world. So it's just no idea again whatsoever, isn't it?
I think they're just making it up, don't they? It's clickbait. We should learn from that.
Yeah, and I've been clicking, obviously.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Hey, let's get down to your second home league, shall we call it, Hugh? I think you've played for half the clubs in the Nottinghamshire League.
I haven't played for half the clubs, no. I've
just lived by them.
Played for a couple of them badly, yeah, a long time ago. So yeah, and they're the ones that seem to be struggling as well. So maybe it's because I'm not there. That's what it is. But no, yeah. So in the Notts League, Plumtree struggled against Cockney. Unsurprisingly, Cockney just bit of a juggernaut at the moment, aren't they? They've got depth, they've got production line of players coming through. They just seem to be just a real powerhouse in Premier League cricket in the whole country at the moment. So they got 225 and knocked over Plumtree very easily. Plumtree 125. So 100-run win for them. Kimberley, where I was yesterday in a murky junior county game, but we got the game on, and the track actually played really, really well. The ground there, played very nicely. So I think they got 295 on, that was Monday. This on Monday against Radcliffe. So we're talking difficult wickets, but if you're getting 295, then that wicket is decent. And I know they had a win Sunday as well, Kimberley, I think against Spondon in the cup, and so that ground. Getting multiple uses and doing very well. And just talking of Kimberley, they played Welbeck Saturday and 3-3-4. So there's some runs at Kimberley at the moment. Martin Whiteman, 116 on the Saturday. And then on the Sunday, who got the runs? Akil Patel. We've seen around the leagues quite a bit. I think that's Samit's brother, is it? Akil Patel. So he got 59 off 74. George Bacon, 51. Ryan Buckley, 49. Jack Nightingale, 44. So doing very well there. And then George Scotton, 5 for 17. A terrific performance from him. That's on the Monday. But just jumping back onto the Saturday, Hucknall beat Papplewick. Looked like a relatively close game there. Runs and wickets spread about. Attenborough got a win against Whitbridge Fordians. Both of those teams struggled a little bit this season, and I think that is Attenborough's first win. Plumtree lost on the Saturday to Notts and Arnold, and then Cockney. But on the Saturday, Cockney lost to Cavs and Carrington, and Sav Pereira, who friend of the show, 105 and 4 for 23. So that's a top performance.
He had a good day, did Sav? Yeah, I think I was looking at that game closely at the weekend, and Cockney decided to field. They put Cavs in 229 for 9, with Sav scoring 105 and just bits and pieces of runs around the rest of them. Watching it very carefully, I thought Nick Keese got off to a bit of flyer, actually, and he got out at the end for 52. But then no one else really got going until Josh Porter came in for Cockney later on and got some runs. And the spinners did the job for them. I mean, you look who took the wickets. You got Farn Ahmed took 2. Sav took 4 for them. They also had a certain Raheem Ahmed playing as well. The Ahmed family, once again, heavily involved. And that was top versus second. So I think Cockney will be pretty disappointed to have lost that one, because the start of the season, we know that Cavs struggled a little bit because they'd lost a game because of weather. They're now top of the league. They're ahead of the ball game here. So I think it'll be interesting to watch over the coming weeks in the Notts League there.
Yeah, Savin Pereira is one of those players, you just scratch your head as to why he's not playing professional cricket. I mean, he's just a dominant force in the Notts League the last few years. He's bounced around so many second team clubs. He's played for Derbyshire. I think he's playing for Kent, was he? He's part of the Saka thing. You just scratch your head because he's such a dominant cricketer, and he's not a bowler. He tells us he's not a bowler. He's a batsman. And I think last year he's one of the top wicket takers in the league, top run scorers in the league. And here he is with 4 wickets and a match winning performance to go with 100 on. So I think you just want someone to sort of just say, right, here's a contract. You've got 2 years, get your feet under the table, relax a bit and get some runs. And you just think he'd do really well. But yeah, maybe it's not going to be for him, but yeah, he's a wonderful player.
Just going back to that Kimberley Institute game against Welbeck with 565 runs in that match. Still not the most runs in a game this weekend, and that went down in the Surrey Championship, where Banstead and Guildford scored 571 runs between them, and there was 1 run between the two sides, 286 and 285. We're getting up there now. There's 1 or 2 starting to get up towards that 600 mark, and we like those close games as well, don't we? There was a cracking close game we saw in the Bradford League at the weekend as well, wasn't there, Hugh?
Yeah, so close one. Methley and Townville, 1 run split them 40 overs a side. I assume that's rain reduced, I'm guessing. 40 overs a side. It's not 40 overs in the Bradford League, is it? Methley versus Townville. Methley 177 for 7. Townville 176 for 8. Both 40 overs in what looks like a rain reduced game. Taylor Cornell for Methley, is a top pro. 52 from 78 with a top performance at the opening the batting. Then James Wayman, big support, 54 off 24 balls. That was a crucial innings further down because everybody else struggled to get runs for Methley. Townville had Dushan Vamukti, who I think we know well from the Cricket stable, I believe. That right? Yeah, nods of heads. 81 off 86 for him. So it wasn't enough for Townville to get him over the line, but top performance from him. So yeah, real close game there in the Bradford League.
And at top of the league in the Bradford League, Ger Lane, there's a bit of noise going around about them. I've spotted on social media over the last few days in particular. They've been doing all right.
I've not seen that, so you'll have to. What was the noise? Was it a good noise? Was it,
Well, I know that Adil Rashid put a little good luck message out for them.
Very good.
They seem to have one or two contacts, shall we say.
Very good. Got to cash in on those contacts when you can. Yeah, I mean, just running through the Bradford League, we've got games on Saturday and on Monday. So Ger Lane on the Monday beat Bradford and Bingley in a low-scoring game quite easily. Whether that was, I don't think that was rain affected, but and then on the Saturday with the win over New Farnley, 294 plays 212. So yeah, top couple of days for Ger Lane there. Just jumping back onto the Saturday, Woodlands beat Bradford and Bingley by 7 wickets. Thomas Cleave 50 there. Methley won by 8 wickets against Cleckheaton. Fairly low-scoring game there, 78 plays 77. Looks minor carnage. Townville lost to Undercliff Townville, all out for 67, unless that's rain affected, which we do need to check all these ones. No, wasn't rain affected. And then Pudsey St Lawrence and Ossett with a big scoring game compared to some of the others. 2-3-4 plays 2-11. Pudsey won by 23. Josh Priestley 49. Archie Scott 42. And Matthew Race replying for Ossett with 50, and James Wade 4 for 51. And then Farsley beat Pudsey Kongs by 52 runs. Joe Pocklington 90, one of the big scores of the weekend. And then Ger Lane there. And Musa Hussain with 101 in the win at New Farnley. Jumping on to Monday, we've talked about the Ger Lane score, and then Farsley, New Farnley won by 4 wickets there. Joe Pocklington again, 36 off 31. Cam Fletcher, who we've seen a lot of over the last couple of years, 41 off 43, replying for New Farnley to get them over the line. Pudsey Kongs lost in what was a close one to Ossett on the Monday. Rohan Memi, I don't know how to pronounce that surname, Memi, 72 off 100. And Henry Pearson, 6 for 42 in that. And then Undercliff, Pudsey St Lawrence was abandoned. And then the Methley game on the Monday. And then we've got Woodlands Cleckheaton, which I don't think happened at all. So just abandoned from the off there. I don't think they even got going. They might have got going there, but not pretty.
It'll be so nice to have a run of 2 or 3 weeks where we can say all the fixtures have been carried out, and we start to see who's actually in form and who's not, and the abandonments and all of these rain affected matches make no difference then, hey?
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Definitely. Hey, we talked about chaos and havoc. We're going to go back to the Liverpool competition, Mr. James Cole. You must have been seeing that result on Monday and going, what on earth is going on there over at Wallasey?
Yeah, obviously New Brighton have probably lost 5 or 6 of the core first team. They've obviously, the last couple of years, they've been sort of floating relegation and probably been quite lucky to stay up potentially. So it wasn't a surprise. Potentially it was a low scoring innings, because obviously when you've got, I think Matt Keogh's probably the form seamer in the league at the moment. He's a sort of kind of keeper up to the stumps, nibbling it round, sort of making people play every ball. And then obviously you've got one of the best left arm spinners the league's seen for a number of years. So they were going to test the batsman virtually every ball. So I don't think anyone was surprised it was a potentially low score with the weather around after seeing Saturday's results. But obviously probably 22 or 23 or whatever it was, you're probably expecting a few more of that. But yeah, no, they're obviously 2 fellas who are bowling really well at the moment. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be a long season, unfortunately, for one of the old school comp teams in New Brighton.
Did you send any of your lads out there to scout it for the coming weekend when you go up against Mr. Keogh and Mr. Rummaker?
They'd probably done well to get there in time. So I think obviously traditionally that fixture is obviously on the bank holiday. Normally, if there's no cup games and stuff, a few of our lads or whoever would go over for a few afternoon drinks or whatever it is, because I think obviously in our league, you play that much cricket against each other.
You don't get to see it.
Everyone's quite friendly, and everyone's sort of mutual friends and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't think because of the 12 o'clock start or whatever it was, I don't think anyone would have got over there in time, unfortunately.
But it does mean that this weekend you go into your game against Wallasey against, let's be honest, the 2 form bowlers in the league, it looks like.
Yeah, it's always obviously a challenge. Wallasey, they're a very sort of gritty side and they've got a bit about them. So, yeah, I think in our league at the moment, you can't sort of take your eye off the ball anyway. You're always sort of in for a sort of challenge. There's good cricketers sort of right throughout the league. So, beating Wallace, if you beat Wallasey once or twice, well, ideally twice in a season, you've been in a battle, and that's a lot of teams won't get 45, 50 points against them. So obviously they're sort of without their sort of premier batsman this year in Jamie Crawley. So obviously that changes their dynamic a bit. He's a sort of cricketer who can get 120 off 80 balls and sort of win a game off his own back. So they're probably going to be playing a little bit different cricket this year. But bowling wise, now Summit is fit. You're going to have to graft for 45, 50, 55 overs to be able to get a score.
What's the forecast looking for this weekend for you guys? You got nice sunshine and plenty of people come down to Northern to watch this one, you think?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure after today, I think it's sunshine right the way through for a week, potentially. So yeah, we've obviously tough game Saturday, then we've got a rearranged cup game against Formby at home on the Sunday. So hopefully if the weather's nice, it's always nice to be able to leave your kit in the changing room for the Sunday fixture. But again, if we win 2 games of cricket this weekend, we've got to play well, because they're obviously 2 very, very good sides we're playing against.
Yeah, we talked about Sunday, and you mentioned it very earlier on. Disappointment, the game against Ormskirk?
Yeah, in hindsight, obviously, I might have probably potentially got the toss wrong in those sort of games. Getting runs on the board against the team away from home, probably quite important. But on the flip side, we had them 30 for 3, a couple of wickets. You maybe an 80 or 90 or 120, and then you potentially should chase that. But obviously really, really disappointing. It's a competition that obviously we won last year at Old Trafford, which was like one of the highlights of most people's sort of careers, really. Yeah. But I think unfortunately, I don't think the game is at Old Trafford this year. By the sound, Lancashire have got a music festival or something going on. So yeah, disappointing, because obviously you want those sort of games, regardless if you're in it or not, at the county ground. It's like if you're playing national finals, you want to be playing at your county grounds, your Lords and so on. So yeah obviously disappointing. But again, it potentially can free you up to, if availability is a bit ropey at times, it can free you up to potentially concentrate a little bit more on your Saturday cricket and your other sort of competitions that you're still in. So yeah, I think our view, I think us and Ormskirk were both obviously probably 2 of the favourites for the cup. I think whoever won that game has now got a home run to the final, which I'd imagine either team would have gone into the tournament as sort of joint favourites or whatever it would be. So yeah, and obviously you've got to play well if you want to win against good sides.
So disappointment in the Lancashire Cup then, James, but you've still got a couple of the nationals to go at in the T20 and the national on Sunday. Yeah,
again, I think last year we played 40 games of cricket. So if you're not careful, if you don't hit your straps, you've got quite a few Sundays off. But yeah, we've obviously notoriously gone quite deep in the sort of national competitions. In general, availability, we in general field very similar sides on a Saturday and Sunday. But again, Formby have started the season really well. Captained by a good mate of mine, Mr. Cobain, who's obviously ex-Gloucester. He's played a lot of cricket, and I think they've probably got the best batter who's not playing county cricket or professional cricket in Ollie Sutton at the moment. He's obviously a fellow who scored quite heavily for a number of years, and I'm quite surprised no one is sort of really giving him a go, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's not my decisions to make.
No, tough one on Sunday. And then you got T20. Was it Hightown you say you're playing?
Yeah, Hightown. Well, I'm from Hightown, so it's a home game for me. I can pop over the field. But yeah, they're sort of 5 minutes away from Crosby. So yeah, I think they're in Division 2, but they've won every game. So they've got a couple of fellas who've dropped down the leagues, some good cricketers, and they've got a Zimbabwean seamer / professional all-rounder. So yeah, again, you're going to have to sort of play well to win in those games. But obviously the last few years we've performed really well in the 2020 stuff. So you're hopeful we can sort of go quite deep again in those competitions.
And get yourself into that national run.
Yeah, ideally. Notoriously, I think we've always sort of felt in our league, I think if you win our finals day, that has sort of been the hardest finals day. Obviously, it doesn't work like that all the time. You can walk into some really good teams, but because of the strength of your Ormskirks, your Lees and Wallasey and teams like that who've competed in those competitions, when I've been in them, I've always found it's harder to win our league finals day than potentially the next one. But again, it's who you walk into on the day, isn't it? It depends on county fixtures and who turns up. Mr. McKinnon at Lee can win a game off his back, and I think Carl Brown got 130 against us off 60 balls in another final. So yeah, there's good cricketers throughout sort of the Northwest and plenty in our league.
Definitely. Hey, let's have a quick further look into that Liverpool comp then, Hugh. Ormskirk, who won it last year, are hot on the heels of Northern. New Brighton, who they only just avoided relegation last year, are struggling. The two new boys who've come up, Newton-le-Willows and Birkenhead Park, are struggling a little bit there, aren't they?
Newton-le-Willows got a win Saturday against Wigan, I believe. Ben Walkenden 41. Birkenhead Park lost to Rainford by 16 runs. Birkenhead Park lost to Rainford. Both teams bowling each other out. So it was quite a close game. 119 all out for Rainford and Birkenhead 103 all out in 52 overs. So yeah, it was a bit of a grind, but they nearly got home. Rainford just doing the job in the end there. Yeah, Northern, as we've heard, beaten Rainhill 128 plays 127. Wallasey New Brighton total carnage. And then Southport and Birkdale losing quite comfortably to Ormskirk, just getting the 104 on the board. But just the Flintoff name popping up there for Southport and Birkdale. We've heard about Archie Vaughan getting a contract. I think we got Rocky Flintoff and Corey Flintoff both lurking around the Liverpool competition in the Lancashire setup. So Corey Flintoff with 16 and then one for 60. Gone for a few, but it's just, I don't know, just makes you happy seeing the Flintoff name around. I don't know why. It's just that connection to the 2000s. It's just lovely seeing those lads. They're doing well across the league, and just they seem to be a pair of excellent cricketers.
And nice to see Malinda Pushpakamara play his first game for Birkenhead Park at the weekend as well. I know he's obviously only just come over, but he is the one that Birkenhead Park have put the name on for this season, I think, James, isn't he, to help them sort of get up that league?
Yeah, obviously we played him the week before. Without a left-arm spinner in our league, you really struggle to control ends. So I think if he's there from the start of the year, they've probably won a couple of games, I'd have thought, potentially. And someone who's going to bowl you 20 overs each week and potentially get 5-6 wickets and go for 2 and over. And if you can do that, you've seen the format of how our league is and how Summit and people like that have bowled and Tom Sefton over the years. It gives you a massive advantage. But if you take a Tom Sefton out of our side, and it means you've got to play completely differently. So I'd imagine now, especially with the weather and him getting over here, I'd imagine you'll see some better sort of performances and a few results coming in Birkenhead's favour. But yeah, it's just the format of the league really suits having your sort of your frontline spinner bowling a lot of overs, and you can sort of rotate around. So I'm not too sure about his batting. I don't know. I think he's a sort of middle to lower order batter, but they've obviously got some really good cricketers in Mark Rowland, who's been one of the constructive players in the Cheshire and Liverpool Comp for a number of years. Tom Foster's obviously been a good cricketer, and they've got some good all-round sort of cricketers that can win sort of games for them. So I'd envisage them moving up the table potentially, but in the league, the way it is at the moment, there's not many easy games, so they're going to have to play some good cricket still.
Yeah, they're a little bit behind the 8 ball to start the season off, but hopefully Malinda helps them get up that league, because they've done a lot of work over the winter and bringing some players in to try to not just get back into the Prem, but stay in the Prem for a long term, haven't they? Yeah,
I think obviously Andrew Clark from our place, he's gone there. He's had a hip operation. I think they were envisaging him having the hip operation after the season, but I think he's had it now, so I think he might be available from July. I think if you look at the stats long term, I think he averages 40 in Premier League cricket, being a left-hander as well, which sort of negates the left-arm spin a little bit. But I know a lot of the whispers at the start of the year, if they had him fit and the Pro, I think they really fancied themselves to be at the top end of the table. But again, with the world of overseas cricketers and stuff like that, with visas and all, can happen. But yeah, there's obviously still a lot. They play Rainhill on Saturday, which is a really big game. As far as I'm aware, I think Rainhill will be wheeling out Luke Proctor and Mr. Godalman, obviously two current county cricketers and an ex-county cricketer. So I think you find in our league, it can be who you play when the counties aren't available, so are available. So we obviously played Rainhill on Saturday without them. But if you play them with them on a Saturday, it can be a huge swing in the game, and it can affect both ends of the table.
Definitely. And we're just about to go into T20 season when it comes to the county championship, which again makes that availability of those players change straight away. There's a dynamic around the leagues around the country where pros will start to drop back into one or two of their clubs, won't they?
Yeah. And again, it can be on form, couldn't it? You look at the start of the year with, obviously, Matty Hurst did really well at the end of last year for Lancashire. He started in the side. Actually struggled a little bit. So you're envisaging maybe George Lavelle at Ormskirk comes in for him. But then obviously Matty Hurst goes and gets 50, 100, 50, whatever he did, and he's cemented his 4-day spot now moving forward. So it'd be interesting what, I think Lancashire might play tonight or tomorrow. So it'd be interesting the dynamic of who's in that squad, because if you're in that squad, it's probably going to affect your club availability moving forward, which obviously we want all the players at the other clubs in those squads. They don't play club cricket. One reason we're quite lucky that we haven't got the county contracted players, so it doesn't affect us, but it does affect who you play on a Saturday. And if you take those players out of a club side, then it gives you obviously a better chance of winning more games and as a result having a more sort of successful season.
Definitely. Hey, let's look at that last league of the week. As we've told everyone, we go on and on about it. We have 32 ECB Premier Leagues, and Hugh and I are going to sort of focus week in, week out on around about 8, just to give us a little bit of headspace. And the Hertfordshire League is the last of the leagues that we're going to look at this week. Leaders of the league are Potters Bar, who won it last year and just seem to have got off to a flyer with 3 wins out of 3. What have we seen over down in the Hertfordshire League there, Hugh?
Still in their 50-over format before moving to time cricket, and they're the ones that actually split them, so I can easily make sense of it, which is nice of them.
They do a good job there.
Yeah, they do. So we've got games Saturday, no games Monday as far as I could tell. We've got Harpenden lost to Totteridge Mill Hillians, 149 plays 98. I think both teams bowled each other out there. Harpenden bowled out in 20 overs, so they were getting on with it, but they bowled out in 20 overs. Alex Gosling, 29, top scoring for Harpenden. Will O'Donnell, 41, and then Kazim Naziri, who we've touched on already, 7 for 32 for Totteridge, so top bowling effort from him. Got West Herts against Hertford. West Herts got home 8 down off 25 overs, chasing 108, so fairly close game. They got the runs quickly, but clinging on at the end. Again, nobody really getting any kind of scores. Potters Bar won by 7 wickets against Bishop Stortford, another low-scoring game, 18 overs and 32 overs for each team. So Potters Bar got him in 18 and bowled Bishop Stortford out in 32. And then Radlett, North Mims, which is the highest scoring game of the weekend.
By a long way.
Radlett, 267, plays 229. So Josh De Keres, 85, which was the top scorer of the weekend in that league. Reese Wynn, 45 in reply for North Mims. But yeah, that's Josh De Keres is off spinner for Middlesex. But it sort of seems to be more of a batter in club cricket. So, but yeah, he's been doing well over the last few years in club cricket, and obviously pushing on into the county professional game. And then Shenley Village versus Old Owens. Old Owens 166, plays 165 in. So they got home with 5 wickets to spare, Old Owens against Shenley Village. One
big scoring game, but otherwise quite low scoring games across the Hertfordshire League. Then Potters Bar, just continuing where they left off. Just one shout out to Alex Gosling there at Harpenden, one of our NCCA who we've seen at Loughborough earlier this year. More a bowler than a batter, we'd say, but he did score 29 for Harpenden there. He'll be disappointed not to have taken more wickets. I'm sure we'll keep an eye out on what Alex does over the coming weeks, definitely. Hey, we're coming towards the end of our recording now, guys. The season really is going to get going this weekend, isn't it, James?
According to the Met Office app, I think we've got every chance in the Northwest. So, yeah, obviously we don't look outside of that in the country, but I think we'll be all right for a full fixture list at the weekend, which is everyone wants to see, don't they? Everyone wants to go down and support your local club and have a beer and watch some cricket, really. So, and obviously the players want to be playing in 20 degrees sun and not drizzly, wet outfields and everything that goes with it. So I'm pushing covers on and off. So yeah, no.
Go on. How many layers have you been wearing so far?
I always tend just a shirt and a jumper, really. I'm a floppy hat, regardless of the weather. So
you see that he's the hardened wicket keeper there. You see, isn't he?
Yeah, it just doesn't feel very. I don't like keeping in just in a long sleeve shirt. I think I need something on over it to feel a bit more comfortable, unless it's really hot. But yeah,
no. Hang on. Is it a long sleeve shirt with a long sleeve jumper though? We have to ask that of the wicket keepers brigade.
Yeah. So yeah, long sleeve. Yeah, it can't be shorts.
I was going to say, for those who obviously listening can't see the look I got when I even mentioned that.
The trouble is, so I'm sitting here and I'm obviously not a wicket, but I quite like keeping in short sleeves. I get hot. I get really hot. And I don't, I know it's great. Everyone gives me abuse, but I just get hot. I'm bouncing around the place.
If you're going to do it, you could potentially get away with wearing like a cool skins underneath long sleeve with your shirt. And that's borderline appropriate.
I just get so. I think I'm very energetic. I'm twitchy. I'm nervous. I'm constantly bouncing about the place, and so I just get sweaty. So
that's because he's keeping to his lad most of the time at the moment. He's bowling absolute rockets.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's bowling in the right place is the main thing. Yeah, that's the main thing. Talking about the weather, I think the Cornwall League. The poor Cornwall League. Even when other leagues are getting games on this weekend, abandoned. One result, abandoned. And I think they've had a shocker down there. They really have. So really, really feeling for them down in Cornwall.
Fingers crossed for the weekend then. We're all going to be sleeping with our toes and fingers crossed between now and Saturday. Obviously, you guys have got a T20 between now and then, James, as well. But let's get this into June. Let's get the weather on the right side of where it should be and have 3 months of bloody good cricket, because effectively it is summer from the weekend.
Yeah, fingers crossed. You forget how much cricket's been meant to have played already. So I think we played to the 3rd Saturday of September, I think it is, in our league. So we've still got a lot of cricket to be played. I think we've got 17 league games left or something silly. Yeah, a lot of cricket to be played. And obviously some of the leagues down south are only 16 or 18 game leagues, aren't they? Which is amazing. But yeah, no, I think everyone just wants to get out there and play a bit of cricket now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that May starts looking like a sensible decision for these southern leagues. I think they're onto something, and it may be something that other leagues, adopt going forward.
Yeah, I think though, unfortunately, Cornwall needs to look at June.
Well, yeah,
a shortened season to say the least. Hey, thanks for your time today, James. Been great to have you on and talk all Liverpool comp and your knowledge around the other players' names that pop up with CricX. Obviously, you've got to see a lot of players around the country throughout the years, haven't you?
Yeah, I think just listening to the leagues that you're talking about there, I think 7 or 8 players that you even mentioned that we've had we've sent them over to Australia in the last few years or New Zealand. And with some of them, I think you just spoke about Alex Gosling. I think it was, he's a fellow who's just, I think if you look on our website, he's just popped up on there now. So he's one looking to go away this winter. So speaking to a couple of clubs over him in Australia and New Zealand. So yeah, he won't be short of suitors. I wouldn't have thought a seam bowler. Looks like he bowls decent pace and can hold the bat a little bit as well, and non-contracted. So he's the sort of ideal sort of recruit that these sides want.
Definitely. Hey, there's your advert, Alex. We're giving you a personal advert then. We'll make sure this goes out to the clubs in Australia and New Zealand. Thanks for your time, James.
My pleasure.
Catch you next week, Hugh.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers now. Thanks for listening to the Premier League Cricket Show. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes and stay updated on all the latest news, views and discussions from around the Cricket's Premier Leagues. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at TPL Cricket Show on both. Join the conversation, share your thoughts and connect with us and your fellow Premier League cricket fans. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, why not show us some love? Leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform, as it helps other potential listeners to find us when they're searching for cricketing podcasts. Thanks again for being part of the Premier League Cricket Show family, and until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.